Based upon the astounding failure that I have experienced trying to get you people to send in money, I've tried to be reasonable. I'm going to try one more approach. If we do not receive some sort of decent, acceptable contribution, not quarters, scotch tape to postcards, and that. If we do not, then I am going to, one night soon, I'm going to put on a suit and tie and I'm going to adopt some kind of fake British accent, and I'm going to get a clipboard and I'm going to interview myself. And I'm going to tell everybody my terrible childhood, the difficulty in growing up, and how I've been abused and battered, and the difficulty, psychological and otherwise, and all of that. And I mean soon, so don't say I didn't. Now, for you people getting this on the great cable, in some of the cities we understand that people are only getting 30 minutes worth of these hour programs that we're taping. And to sort of bring you up to date right quick, what we're doing normally the first half of these tape hour sessions are people reading these groups of papers called Kyroots, and they're little one-liners, maxims, fables, proverbs, all sorts of rumors, myths, legends, and etc. And people write down the page number. It's being flashed over on a screen off camera as each page is being read, and those who like what they heard or wanted to hear more about it, they write down the number of the page. Then somebody selected, tonight it's me, and it's given this page, and we look at the Kyroot, and if Kyroot over here off stage doesn't say anything, if he doesn't say exit, if I look at it, then I try to make some additional comment. That's the way it goes. If that doesn't work, we've got the band waiting. So you better hope it works, because you have not heard this band. You know, well, I heard, it's sad to say, that Lawrence Welk was dead, and that may be true, but if he is, he's still leading this band we've got over here. So, and Kyroots said, here we go, this is the way it goes. Are you ready? And Kyroots said, in the city, fear may not make you shop, but it can cause you to pay for stuff you didn't even buy. I don't know how much clearer something could be. What is the nature of city life in the metaphorical way in which Kyroot, as best we can all make out, means it? You can take it as being the civilized, psychological level of ordinary life, of a good intellectual, sane person. Does it not? Is that not what the whole world of social science in the psychic arts, psychology, psychiatry, is that not, and even religion if you can see it, is that not what it's about? Is that not what everybody's problem is? Sure it is. You just never thought about it that way. They're paying for stuff. And everybody can say, well, yeah, that's true. I am paying for stuff. I'm paying for the fact that my father was a drunk. I'm paying for the fact that my father was a drunk and wouldn't pay his damn liquor bills, and I'm having to pay him off now that he's dead. That's a little psychiatric humor. People could immediately say, yes, I am having to pay for the sins of my fathers. See, that's not what Kyroots said. I mean, you people are still, whoever quoting that, they're trying to go back to the Old Testament and that stuff. Kyroots up to date. Kyroots trying to be honest with you. In the city, fear may not make you shop. Fear, I don't know whether we want to go into that or not. City life can make you shop. City life may not make you shop, but it can cause you to pay for stuff you didn't even buy. What I was trying to point you to is all the ordinary people could take that and say, that is true. Life makes us pay and pay and pay. If this has any significance, what it says is that it will make you pay for stuff you didn't even buy. Of course, if you're ordinary, again, I don't know why you're watching this, and we can't get into an argument because you win. I submit already. But you are paying at the secondary level. You will pay for that which you did not buy. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing weird. But that's what being alive at the secondary world is all about. Isn't there one that nobody even asked for yet? About what being alive is? But that is it. Although I know ordinary people do suffer. They say they do. There was a Kyroot a while back about a kid, some smart-ass kid in one of these stories, that said he'd come to the conclusion that people don't actually suffer as much as they say they do. That's just what he said. But I know that people suffer, and etc. But consider the possibility. What if that all suffering is payment for that which you didn't buy? As I said, you could not prove this to ordinary thought, but look at it this way. What if all of the ordinary ideas that you are paying psychological prices for things that you had bought, or things that, whether you wanted to or not, you're paying for the past? What if you didn't actually buy it? Now, I don't mean don't fall in and say, well, sure, I didn't buy it because I didn't go to my father and say, beat me up, and mistreat. What if you didn't actually take delivery of it? My temptation, since Kyroots stepped out of the room and can't stop me, was to try, which may make it worse, of course, is consider, right quick, just for sake of discussion, let's consider that it is what I was indicating, that everything you pay for in the secondary world is for stuff you did not actually buy. You didn't get delivery of it. You don't own it, but you're paying it off. And just for a second, take that and try and withal it. Try and consider the other way around. What if the claims that everyone reasonably has, sophisticated, educated people, that they are paying off psychological debts from their environment, from their childhood? What if it were literally true the way they say it? I'm not going to try to go any further than really that. If it were true the way they say it, do it in your own head, then they would not be standing around on a TV show talking about it. They would not even be in a psychiatrist's office undergoing analysis. That if what they say is true, of course to them it is, but if what they say is valid, if they are suffering in the way in which they say they are, if it were literally true, they would not be sitting there, standing there, laying there, able to talk about it. As always, thank God, it cannot be proven. But as long as I spent that much time on it, let me wave it and tell you, those of you who are between bathroom breaks on TV sets, the secondary world is simply the nature of it. You are paying, to varying degrees, you're paying for that which you never purchased, never took delivery of. And anytime you have any doubt, is look at it to the extreme the other way. That if what ordinary people believe is my lot in life, what has befell me, that which the slime, the ridicule through which I must swim and slither, if it were like they said, they would not be able to stand there and talk about suffering and sliming and slithering or whatever it is. But see, part of it is way back in here, I don't know whether we get to it, but someone else pointing out that all the secondary world, all the civilized must anthropomorphize because in part the secondary world's job is to make the primary world out to be more than it is. All right, back to the kid. He said he thought people actually, or didn't actually suffer as much as they said. You know he's right. But Jesus, if people were forced to see that, it'd be like the guy that wrote Kyroots tonight. If it were true and people saw it, life would fall apart. Put quite crudely, what would ordinary people do to pass the time? I mean, most people are not Cajun and they can't pass a good time just sitting around spitting and, playing their accordion. And so how would ordinary people pass a good time? That is, 60 years, how would you get through if indeed you could not make more out of the primary world than's there? Well, the only way that could happen is you would have to revert to being more primary, which nowadays is not necessarily a bargain because you're very likely to end up within the great wheels, and might I say uncomfortable wheels of institutional justice. That is, life is liable to step all over, if you're a male, you're a pecker. And if you're female, allegorically speaking. So there you are again. And Kyroots said, we're in the same area, to make tenders. Does everybody know what tenders are? Rowboats. They're the little small boats that take care of the yachts. Did you go back? To make tenders want to be yachts, tell them they're leaky. What is being alive? You don't have to be an analysis, but if you're alive, what makes you get up and go in the morning? You wake up, you've overslept, the leak is bigger than ever. You're late, You're going to lose the car. You're going to lose your job. You're downstairs. You're trying to get ready to put on your clothes. And on top of all this, it's obvious now from trying to get your belt, you put on weight. Leaky again. Then you're in there, you're man combing your hair, and Jesus, what's that reflection? I said, God, that's my head. My hair's gone. Of course, I'm picking out the simple ones that make people laugh, because the dumb take it personally if you begin to laugh about that. Of course, I'm sure we don't have any here. But when you get into the secondary area is where people are most acutely attuned to being referred to as leaky. In case you never realized, pick up any holy book in the world, if you want to go back that far. And the first thing, I know it's put in code, and you have to know, of course, I've just given you the key now. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go pay some priest or rabbi. Start reading, and they'll have a few words, I guess, intro about the copyright, and, don't reproduce it. But then the first thing all the holy book starts saying is, whoever you are, you're reading it, and suddenly, as though you see this painting of Uncle Sam pointing out a book, and it's saying, you're leaky. Of course, the more interesting part is almost every little would-be sailor and sailorette on this planet, first time that the finger points and says, you're leaky, y'all go, like I've been called. Notwithstanding the diaper shortage, but to make the little ones want to become the big ones, what you got to do is tell them that in the state you are now, being a little one, but of course, if you were really a crude sort, the ones that maybe hang around the wharfs with a certain attitude, then you could say, well, what's wrong with being a rowboat? I was born a rowboat. But do you want to die a rowboat? Then you got them. They go, well, because what's the answer? Well, I'm a nice little rowboat. All right, you're a nice little rowboat. But do you think that's enough? Look around you. There are bigger rowboats, fatter rowboats, slimmer rowboats. Because all that's just dressing, because all it's got to do is that finger go. And the finger, of course, is sent to your nervous system growing up. And it's a noise. And some people think it was a burglar outside. The limbs are scraping the roof. But humans here, you're leaking. You could be a yacht. And of course, could be gets translated non-verbally in the human nervous system to you should be. Get your ass out of bed. Lose some weight, say for a hair transplant, and get serious. All right. Well. Do-do-do-do-do-do. That one's too obvious. Maybe in another life we'll do that one. Some of these, well, it's another story on the secondary and primary world. I'll read it again. And Kyroots said, in an attempt to fableize, which is always good, his own personal existence, one man began to think of his mind as, quote, a mighty Andalusian bull trapped in the jockey shorts of a priest. Those of you who know how to do it, you can take the one we just did about rowboats in the primary and secondary world. There it is. It's just a slightly different position that this man has. And Kyroots said, I'm just going to read this one, I think. Does anybody remember the one from last time? Did you like about somebody was telling that if you were a poet and you didn't know what to write about, was write about nature. And if you still didn't know what to write about nature some more. And then if you still didn't know what to write about, threaten suicide in print. Which, I know that it got a laugh, now it got a laugh again, but think about it. We're not just laughing at poets. But think, here it is, those supposedly, not just poets, how about the metaphysical poets? The religious odist and rhymist, that you would think, well, there are people interested in something, trying to help transcend the limitations of our mundane existence. And what do they end up writing about? Yes. Well, they'll start out when they're young. They'll write something about love, when they're still young and horny. Or how beautiful the moon reminds me, of Matilda. And they'll do that. Well, they'll do that a few times till they find they don't get anywhere. And they'll suddenly they'll say, the moon, the brightness of the moon makes me realize that we're all going to die and rot. And there's a good chance somebody will start paying the guy and he'll make a living. Think about it. And this is from the ordinary higher end of the nervous system. At the ordinary level. Out there where the tenders and the yachts hang out together. And so this is sort of a variation. It's more than that, but I don't have much more time than to call it just a kind of variation. And Kyroots said there were two asteroids, which is all beside the point. They were playing an inter-quiz game. One of them says, what is the world's greatest bluff? And the answer that he gave, since his buddy didn't know, a human who threatens suicide and then goes through with it. Well, see, most people can't ever tell life. I told you. Of course, I hope there are no real poets listening to that, or they might have heard something else, and we're going to have a rash of, poets leaping out windows and, banging up our new cars and frightening the children. Of course, then just before they hit, I can just see some of these poets, no offense, but I've known some, and I know they're intelligent. Just before they hit, trying this, that's it. There's a way to get famous. Just before they hit the pavement in their little head, it's going to strike them. Well, this may make me famous, but there's a flaw in here. And they're going to think that just before the what? Well, it's known as the Big E. For you folk singers, the bitter end. And Kyroots said, this is intricate, but if you listen, it's hidden. A man's passing out messages on a little card. One of our city speakers who had a bout of laryngitis, and the message says, quote, being bewitched by the behavior and the looks of other humans is to be an unpaid slave scribe of history and other low-rent projects. Addendum. One day this king thought, I can understand my naughty parts being attracted to a commoner, but what in the hell is going on with my mind being so? I'm going to try again. I just mentioned this in passing once. And it is not having to do actually with what ordinary people think of as sexual roles or divisions, but it is absolutely hormonally, primarily indicative of what's going on. And that is, in the waning moments, you have to get just as metaphorical as hell. But it's like this. Anytime you think that life is really progressing out there at the mob level, that collectively life is progressing, which of course it is, but anytime like you get overheated and think, well, all I got to do is stick around, I don't have to make that much effort. Life is getting so progressive and is evolving so fast, hell, I can take a nap for the next 10 years before I die, and hell, I can coast home. It's like I'll make a home run, I don't even have to slide. The rest of the people are going to pick me up and carry me and slide me into home. Anytime you think that, is ask yourself this. Here you are living at the city level, as well as anywhere on this planet, the advanced guard, the cutting edge of society, and ask yourself this. It's not it's a statement. Why is it then, if that be true, that women, and this is not sexual, you people got to understand this, we're talking about the movement of life, is why women, right here, this day and time, women who would be, from all city views, even the cutting edge of womanhood, intellectual, college graduates, and who are they attracted to? They are still attracted to the primary level of men, generally speaking, as opposed to this level. Now, for those of you that followed that without getting caught up, it's got nothing to do with sex, but it has to do with where life's primary interest remains. And I just gave it away when I said its primary interest is although life is evolving, and there is no doubt, except unless you're religious or an ecologist, or some otherwise unbecomingly inept temporarily, then life is evolving, but at least you get carried away and think, yeah, well, that's true. By God, just, utopia is right over the horizon, which some people used to think was right over in Pennsylvania, but it turned out it wasn't even there. And then they tried Ohio, but I don't have time to go into it. At least you think that. One more time, forget about sex now. Forget about men and women. Think about life evolving. That even women who would appear to be, by any accounts, right now, would be in the secondary forefront. The educated, most sophisticated, most primarily civilized women are still by and large attracted at the hormonal level, that is, to primary men. They're attracted to men. They can't help it any more than men can help what they do. That's not it. But they are still, through life, being driven to be attracted on the physical level to keep the physical gene pool going in a certain way, as opposed to them being attracted to Einsteins. Now, there are jokes on this. It's anecdotal. It's been anecdotal in the time of Greece, and it's anecdotal, I'm sure, still on network, sitcom, television. That is that, who gets the girl? It's always the football player. Even 1992 at Harvard, wherever it sits, some show or movie, it's still the football player and not some nerd with 14 pencils in his pocket and an IQ, that's pushing at the ceiling of the Stanford Binet test. So see, you all laugh because it is true. The king, having some, didn't we all vote on this one time? Maybe I wasn't here that night, but you voted that Kyroot meant something about the king. It's like some kind of central point in your own thinking, like the center of your, somewhere maybe it's sitting just at the top, where your own brainstem now stops. The king says, I can understand my naughty parts. I can understand me sexually being attracted to a commoner. But I'll be damned if I know what's going on with my mind being so. Huh? Hey, I don't mind sleeping with the dumb. But Jesus, what am I doing up the next morning, holding an important intellectual conversation and feeling as though I'm being stimulated? That's when you got to go in the bathroom and realize my crown's missing. And I don't mean look in your mouth. I mean, you done been deposed and you did the deposing. Well, all right, your hormones did. You weren't looking. The king said he can understand certain of his parts, but certain of his other parts he's supposed to have a certain, additional wherewithal, shall we say. 2 minutes. One day while he was off for a private weekend fling, the royal philosopher and de facto Hierophant sat on the beach. Everybody knows what a Hierophant is, don't you? You got a dictionary. Well, I get tired over. There's only priest. How many times can you say priest? Sat on the beach and thought. Anytime a God says that you're too late, just a little too late for whatever it was that you were asking for, what it really means is that he's reached a point that he doesn't know what to do next. And this came as such an intriguing piece of news that the regal one popped a cold one and considered, could I use that on myself? All of you who watch this at all, you know that's got nothing to do with religion, much less an attack on religion, but consider. Prayer being man's excuse to talk to himself on the crude level. Consider men talking to themselves. And at a non-crude level, by probably some contemporary views, would be to go talk to a psychiatrist. Yes, well, I graduated from Princeton. I'm not religious. I'm an Episcopalian, but I'm not religious. I go because that's where everybody there at my company goes. But I'm not religious. I'm in analysis. In case you never realized that talking analysis is the same thing as praying. Same thing as talking to yourself. But that's all prayer is, from one view. It's just an excuse that you think you're talking to yourself at some higher level. Because you ask some guy You mean the best you can do is talk to yourself? And most people, that's like immediately accusing them of being a leaky tender. You say, you mean the best you can do is talk to yourself? And it makes people think, you're right. Boy, do I hang out with a cheesy crowd. If that's all I can do is talk to me. Are we absolutely out tonight? Okay, well, I'm going to have to wish you people on tape, I do. That is a videotape. Those of you on a measuring tape, stick around.